place between 9 a.m. and 10 a.m. Event security.
Good morning, everyone. It's Friday, November 5th, 2021. That's right. It is the weekend. It's finally here, or at least for some of us. I know some people, like myself, back in the day, weekends really didn't mean much. Actually, the weekends were actually the days I worked the most. So I didn't really look forward so much to the weekends because, John, it was those double shifts starting at 10:45 in the morning that ended at like 2 o'clock in the morning that I loved so much. But it was the sacrifices that I had to make in order to never work a Sunday in the restaurant industry, which I think is a pretty damn good accomplishment in and of itself.
So you worked in the restaurant industry, but never worked on a Sunday, which is
Exactly.
just what are you, Aaron Rodgers? Get your own rules?
Well, pretty much. Well, let's put it this way. Every time I went in for a job, I made it very clear: Sundays, no go. I felt that if I made it clear in the hiring process, then I was free and clear to make sure that I really hammered that home throughout my time working. And the best part was there was a place that I worked at in Amherst. People know it as Wings, and I did work there. For those who are familiar with the UMass area, I worked there for 5 years maybe. Um, and uh, I guess year there or semester there, I was told everyone works the Super Bowl and everyone
Mhm.
works, at least some Sundays. Don't work Super Bowl, you don't work there. And this is a high turnover restaurant, so one individual delivery driver is not they're not going to mean much. I don't think they learned my name the first year that I was there. No, that's a lie. How could you not learn my name? I talk way too much to be ignored. But
Yeah,
anyway,
what's his name? You're not going to say what's his name because
yeah,
we're waiting for the.
yeah,
So you were the delivery guy.
one of them, one of them.
So
There's many of them, but
what's
so
the difference between delivery guys and
no,
being,
no, 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 no. See,
sure,
we're talking about Amherst, UMass. Wings
that's true.
is the most. I mean, we on a regular Saturday night, yeah, we'd have 12 drivers. Those of us like myself that were there, and worked there for a while, we'd be taking 100 deliveries a night. So you can yeah, you can kind of put kind of the idea of how busy this place was. So, anyways, that first Super Bowl came around, and guess what? I didn't work, and I ended up working there for 5 years. Never stepped foot in that place on Super Bowl Sunday, nor did I work there on any Sunday. It got to a point where new people would come in every semester. You get a new crop of students, and new drivers looking for some beer money. You know that, John.
Mhm.
I
Yep.
actually that wasn't that's not what I intended. You know what I mean. Like it's coming in,
Much
you're
for
either
that. No,
working to pay your bills or you're working for beer money. That's what it is in a college town. So you
well,
know, new kids
when I
would new kids would come
go
in
ahead.
and eventually they would get to a point where they'd be like, oh, you know what, we need someone to work for me on Sunday, and they'd go and ask our boss, do you think Ian would do it? And they would just laugh. They wouldn't even say yes or no. They would just laugh. And then that was kind of the understanding that I just never worked a Sunday. So and I did that for, between that job and every other job that I worked, over 10 years, very successfully,
Did
mind
you
you.
throw the religious
What's that?
component into it? Did you throw the religious component into it and
Oh,
said,
no,
I just can't
well,
work on a
no, 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 because, that was the thing. They also,
like saying I'm
they also,
immunized, I'm
exactly. No, look, I mean, if they really wanted to get into it, I'd say, look, I mean, hey, is it a religious day? Well, I guess in a way, yes. I mean, because my whole
Yep,
day was devoted to
yep,
our Lord and Savior Tom Brady, and whatever other football games came from it. But the reality of it was I always said, and this gets back to my original point of having to work those god awful doubles on Friday and Saturday. I did that.
mhm,
I did that so I wouldn't work on it. And the thing
yep,
was too, there was no amount of money or lure or temptation of making money that would have got me doing it. Because Sunday was a pretty damn good day for delivery guys. You can make a few $100 working a solid football Sunday. I just didn't care. I'd rather sit on my couch, drink
what
soda.
about in March? Football season's over and Sundays are still busy and there's no
Nah,
football.
Nah,
Sundays
because
I
well,
wrote it off.
here's the thing. I mean, there's no day, even outside of football, there's no day like Sunday. For whatever reason,
Mhm.
it's the perfect recharge day. Like you can try to do it on a Monday, you can try to do it on a Tuesday, but it doesn't have a feel. Tuesday doesn't have a feel, John. Okay,
No, it doesn't.
Monday has a
Friday has a
feel. Friday has a feel. Sunday to me has a feel, and it's a feel of just rest and relaxation. You know what I mean? I'm not a religious guy. I'm not afraid to admit that. I'm not going to pretend like I am. I'm not going to pretend like
I'm
I'm
right.
vaccinated when I'm not, John. Um,
True.
but I just find Sunday to be a very therapeutic day, and it's been part of my well, I guess part of my life now as a break day for quite some
Well,
time. Let's put it this way: time goes by.
I owned a restaurant for 10 years, but it was breakfast lunch. So, I kind of worked it.
Mhm.
Obviously, I was owner, so I could kind of do my own thing, but I always worked Sunday morning into late Sunday morning. And then around 12, I would check out because I had plenty of staff. There was a small restaurant, but generally in the restaurant business, as you know, you get like Tuesday off. That's
Yeah.
the day you get off
Yep.
owning a restaurant, if you even get a day off. I used to take off every other Tuesday. I'd work 13 out of 14 days, and I just felt that one day out of every 2 weeks, I'm sure the people that worked there with me probably wanted me the hell out of there more because I was a bit of a micromanager. I kind of learned from that not to be. So yeah, so Tuesday was the day where I would go in town. I'd go for breakfast, even though I owned a breakfast place. I'd go to the Ritz Carlton for breakfast, and they treated you like a king there. I felt like a rich person. And then I'd go right next door to the Boston Common Theater and go see a movie. That was my day off. Really exciting. But yeah, I mean, the restaurant business, I encourage everyone, especially kids getting out of college, go work in the restaurant business for a few years because you'll never complain about any other job you have. That is just up work. Whether you're a delivery guy, whether you're in the kitchen, whether you're a server, go do it for 6 months and then move on to what your career is going to be, and you will never look back because it is really, really tough work.
Yeah, I did a little bit of everything. Um, you know, we're managing, uh, delivery, cooking,
Mhm.
serving, you name it.
Oh, you have to in a restaurant. Yeah, because someone doesn't, and all of a sudden it's like, hey, we're short someone in the kitchen. You're going to be in charge of
Mhm.
fried food. So go at it.
Yeah, and look, I mean, to be honest, and obviously having owned a restaurant, there's a certain excitement about it. Like I've been spending most of the time kind of here knocking the schedule and kind of the work that you have to put in, but there was a certain excitement and exhilaration out of it. I mean, if you work at the right place, you can make some pretty good money, relative to how old you are. I mean, geez, I made more money delivering food than working an hourly job for sure.
Sure.
Not to
Yeah.
mention, the idea of having cash on hand all the time. You know what I mean? It was just always it was a fun job. I mean, it can wear on you, and I found that it was necessary to if you were going to say do that, that was going to be your what you do, and you're perfectly capable of doing that because again, there is good money in serving and wait. I mean, it's just that it takes a toll on you, and I feel like
It does.
I would have had to bounce around different places for me to continue to do that because 4 or 5 years in one place is impressive. Don't get me wrong, but I was ready to go by the time it was time for me to move on. So I loved it. I like I said, I mean I could see owning one. Maybe at one point in my life, maybe I'd want to get that headache, into my life, and regret it at some point. But it's certainly something that I would enjoy deep down doing because I do like the food industry and I do appreciate it. But I don't miss working, essentially 24 hours over the course of Friday and Saturday, delivering food,
Right.
driving miles and miles and miles. Like I drive like 8 miles a week now. It's great. I'm like a little old lady.
It sounds like my mom, when she bought another car at like 60, she's long since passed on. But by the time she passed away, there was like 12,000 miles on it. It
Yeah.
was like in mint condition, and it was 5 years old. So yeah, exactly. I mean, the other thing too with that is it is kind of a burnout business
Hmm.
because you're around all the same people, and the restaurant business is the sit around and hurry up business. Like especially the restaurant I had was more of a breakfast than a lunch place. So during the week it would be kind of slow paced, but Saturday and Sunday was nuts. So
Yeah.
all of a sudden you have people waiting outside to get in. everybody was kind of like flying around, and that was exhilarating, but it also could be, stressful because people aren't happy with some of the things they're getting, the food's
Mhm.
not coming out quick enough, so that, makes it much more difficult. But like I said, if you could just kind of deal with all of that, then the rest of your life can be pretty easy.
Yeah, and you learn to appreciate some other jobs and in certain
Absolutely.
situations too while you're out too, because like sometimes it's easy to kind of tell the folks that didn't work in any sort of restaurant industry or anything like that, because there is a certain appreciation that you acquire for customer service, good or bad
Hmm.
or indifferent, because it's not an easy job to do, and you understand the nuances that when you go out to eat or something, you're dealing with that one server, and that's your time. You have like an hour or whatever that you're there, but the reality of it is you're just one of many tables that server has to go through, and at any given moment, one table could ruin your day, or one delivery, or one, and it's a stressful way to live at times. It can be very stressful, especially you add in the fact that, especially when I was doing it, um, it really puts you at a disadvantage because of how the pay works. So, like, you get paid obviously a server rate, but you would never have a significant amount of money on paper being paid to you. Um, so you kind of missed out on a lot of different things because there are certain disadvantages to the job and just the nature of the job. So hey, to each his own. Like I said, I mean, I got my first serving and delivery job in 2006. Um, so yeah, 10 plus years doing it. It was definitely definitely I learned a lot that way.
Yeah, without question. And some people just aren't cut out for it because if you're a server, you're going to get abused. No, you shouldn't get abused, but you're going to get abused
Yeah.
because there's going to just be one or two tables, a shift that just are not
Oh,
really
it's
nice
terrible.
people. That they
Tried
think that you're there to
tried
wait on
delivering to
them.
college kids, drunk college kids, and how awful
Who
that
probably
is.
tip them, right?
Oh
Right? They
god, it was
probably don't tip. If
it,
they
it
even have enough to bill,
yeah. Well, and that was the thing. Like
15 years ago, right? Because back then it was all cash.
oh
Now,
yeah, yeah. It's
obviously,
like, well, it was a lot
on
of
a debit
cash.
card,
We had we had some credit cards. We actually at one point, I don't know if anyone else can relate to this. There were certain jobs where we had to actually, it was a credit card, not a scanner, not like a portable scanner, but like a hard copy uh, uh, swiper. So you put the card on
oh,
like this, like what looked like a mini paper cutter, with a big
yeah,
chopping hand. You put it
yep.
on
I
that.
remember.
Yeah, you put the credit card on. You'd have like that multi-layered paper, and you just run it across, and it would take an imprint of it. It's like thinking back to that. I'm like, I remember walking up trying to like hold, this
What
is on
the
a
hell
pizza.
was that
Yeah.
exactly? Right.
Well, I'm sitting there trying to, and I remember telling this to my boss at the time, and I'm like, what are we even doing with this? Like, how important is this? Because I'm walking up with like two or three pizzas or pies, as we call them in the industry, folks. Um, two or three pies, and I got like that in my hand. Maybe I have a plastic bag with a 2 liter. But then I'm lugging this like obnoxious, like unfortunate like this little machine where I have to like hand them the pizza, take their credit card, swipe it. It didn't always work. It was just oh man,
They didn't get authorization because obviously there's no way to
yeah.
authorize it. I go way back even because I worked at a sporting store when I was in my
Oh,
late
I did
teens, early
too.
20s.
I did too.
Yeah, they have we're so much alike. And when people would pay with credit cards, they used to send us every week these booklets with cards to be declined with the numbers.
Oh
So there you
Jesus.
are in front of the customer going through the booklet to see if their number is going to be declined. Then we really got high tech by like the late '80s. You had the machine in where you just swiped it, and then it would give you an authorization code. Obviously, we've come a long way since, but that was just special. That's why a lot of restaurants, and there's actually still a few around here that only take cash, which kind of sounds shady, but I can
Yeah, like
understand why.
little breakfast spots. A lot of the times, I feel like that do
Well,
that.
I did. I did. I only took cash. I tried doing it the other way, and I'm such a control freak and like a perfectionist that if I didn't get my balance to the
Yeah.
penny, like freaking out, like where did this penny go or whatever. Not that I'm cheap, I think about that, but I just need to have an exact
No,
number.
no,
So
I
it's like
agree.
it's cash, and then vendors want to get paid cash, so it became a cash business.
Well, and especially the time in which you're talking about. Like, look, I mean, nowadays, obviously, I think the process and the how credit cards and stuff like that in general are handled are much more efficient, as opposed to some of the archaic ways that were used really not too long ago. I mean, we're not talking like 40 years ago. We're talking like 15, even 15, 20 years ago. Some of the
Right.
the process of taking cards and like you know how would you ever? Why would you ever buy anything on the internet with your credit card? That's preposterous. You know what I mean? That type of mentality, which
Right.
again wasn't that long ago. Um, but yeah, it's like it's funny to watch, and it kind of speaks to how quickly things have evolved technology wise. So like that first delivery job that I had, the process was there was a giant map on the wall. That's it.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah.
You need to know where to go. Look it on the map and hope to God that you remember exactly the turns that you have to make. Because
Write it down.
yeah, write it down because I think I had at that point I definitely had a cell phone, but at the same time, this wasn't oh crap I'm lost. Let me pull up Google Maps. No, this was oh I'm lost. I can sit here and play Snake or call someone. You know what I mean? Like that's that's what
Go
it
to the
was.
local gas station. Right.
Yeah,
Do you know
yeah,
where this
exactly.
street is? The worst is
Exactly.
when you go to the police station and walk in, or you call the police station, and if you get the wrong number, you get the emergency
Mhm.
contact, which is kind of embarrassing. They're expecting people to come in calling and fires or whatever, and you're going in there to look for directions. They always have that other business number that you can call. Yeah, no, it was crazy. In fact, I get when I go to doctor's appointments, I get rides, and it was kind of strange the other day. The driver's asking me how to get there, and I'm like looking at her like GPS. Like
Wait a
the
minute.
only thing you do for a living is to drive, and you picking me up and dropping me off at the Beth Israel Hospital. Like, just you should know how to get there. That shouldn't be on me. Like, well, should I take a right or a left? I'm like, you're the driver.
Yeah.
This is what you do. That's like going in a restaurant and the chef going, "How did you want that steak cooked? I have no idea how to do that.
Yeah.
You got
What's
to come back
medium
in
rare?
here. Yeah, you
What
got to come
temperature do
back
I
in."
have to cook it at? You know?
Well, that sounds like something Kramer did, right? Didn't he
Yeah.
have to make your
Yeah. So,
five?
you put the sauce on, you throw the cheese on,
Yeah,
you put the ingredient. Hey, look, that wasn't that bad of an idea. I know some people that would probably enjoy that. I enjoyed. See, that was to kind of keep it all on topic. I guess that was one of the great things that I took out of years working in the food industry is the ability to make pizza. Not only just make pizza, but make it from scratch. And that's one of my favorite things. Like making
yep.
the dough, having it all that stuff. I love doing that. But anyway, Sean, now that we've spent the first 20 minutes of the show just kind of,
Hungry now, Ian.
yeah,
I gotta have my
I am,
second breakfast.
I am starving. I'm thinking about having a pizza with like bagels on top of that. I don't know. I have this weird like breakfast and dinner combination mix going through my head right now, which I
Okay,
think again I'm losing it, Sean. I think I'm losing it here. But
you're not pregnant, right?
no, I hope. Good God, I hope not.
Like,
That would certainly change the trajectory of my life. In a
it
very
sure would.
yes,
You
in a
become
very
very
weird
sick
and
with that.
unexpected way. Yeah,
Yeah,
it would certainly yeah.
but it would be on brand because usually these strange things do happen in Florida. Always
Yeah,
like a Florida man, would you believe, gave birth to a child
yeah.
only in Florida.
Only you know what? To be honest, like I don't know if I'm Florida man yet because I still don't consider myself from here. But again, at the same time, I've also lived out here long enough to consider myself. I don't know. It's weird. I guess I am Florida man now. I am Florida man. Hey, you know what? I love it. It is what it is. So, um, anyway, time to get on topic a little bit here, just a little bit, because it is our Friday show and we only have 19 minutes left. And generally, we like to give our picks for the weekend. So we're still going to do that. Real quick, though, obviously, the news that is starting to kind of come out today and is very expected. But the Browns are expected, they're working on a restructuring of the contract for Odell Beckham Jr. However, the expectation is that he is going to be released at some point, and whether that's him being claimed on waivers or him just being outright a free agent if he clears waivers. We don't know yet, but um, he is likely to hit the market, and teams are going to be interested. So I got to ask you, who do you think is the best fit for potentially free agent Odell Beckham Jr.?
I'm going to guess it's the Baltimore Ravens, which would really be a kick in the what the Cleveland Browns. They weren't able to deal him at the trade deadline because because his dad put out that video a few hours before the trade deadline. So all of a sudden, I'm sure people in the Browns office were like, "Let's try to trade him." From what I understand, there weren't that many interested people because then they would have to take on the contract. So, and that's obviously a major issue. I think the Baltimore Ravens make the most sense. I believe he wants to go with an elite quarterback, right? He's spent the last 3 years with Baker Mayfield. Before that, it was with Eli Manning. And look, Eli Manning probably makes the Hall of Fame because he did win 2 Super Bowls. But, there are quarterbacks playing today that I think you'd rather play with than Eli Manning in terms of being pure passers, better quarterbacks, all of that stuff. So I would think that Baltimore makes some sense because they could use another weapon on the outside. New Orleans makes a lot of sense. He's from Louisiana, but do you think he wants to go to New Orleans?
No, I don't think so. Maybe with Jameis, like I don't know what his relationship was
Right.
with Jameis, but obviously Jameis is no longer there. Or I mean, he's there obviously, but he comes to the season with that ACL injury. So.
I would think Baltimore makes the most sense. I mean, I've heard Kansas City could be interested, which obviously he would love to go there. And they could use a second wide receiver. I know.
I thought he wanted to play with a good quarterback, John.
He's still pretty good.
Yeah, I know. Just
The Packers have been thrown out there, but the Packers right now got a lot of other things to worry about besides adding a wide receiver, and who the hell knows how that would work. The Rams are always big game hunting, and again,
what about the Raiders?
The Raiders do make sense, but apparently they're not interested. That's the latest that we just heard because they obviously Henry Ruggs.
I would think that would be a reason why they might be interested because. Well, and look, I mean, like, say what you want about Derek Carr. I mean, he's good. He's good. I mean, at least this season he's been playing really well, and Las Vegas is in a pretty decent position right now to make the playoffs. So, if I'm the Raiders, this seems like almost like a match made in heaven because, like, again, you kind of expect the Raiders to bring on a guy like Odell Beckham because, look, I mean, you're right. No team in their right mind was going to trade for Odell Beckham. I mean, why would you? I mean, the guy's been injured. His contract is ugly when you consider the fact that he's barely been on the field. And of course, you're dealing with a potential headache. I mean, I'm not saying that it's going to be the exact same situation as it was in Cleveland or whatever, but at a certain point, you got to take that into consideration. So if you're a team, especially a contending team, think about what if the Patriots, for example, we know that Odell Beckham Jr. has a affinity for Bill Belichick, and which makes the Patriots an option and has certainly been thrown out there. Why would the Patriots give up that type of capital to take on that contract and potentially not have him on the field if he gets injured? So, so exactly. So the idea of him getting traded always seemed a little unrealistic. Even now that they're apparently working on converting money in his contract to make his waiver wire pickup more appealing to teams because again, if he gets released, he's subjected to a waiver wire. So teams, if they have to claim him, would also take on the remainder of his contract. And the Browns would be pretty clear. So it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. I mean, if I'm, again from a Patriots perspective, do I want him on the team? Sure. As long as it's cheap, I couldn't care less because we know that the Patriots aren't going to sit around and let him do damage if it doesn't work out. They'll get rid of him. They'll cut him. But if he comes cheap, yeah, why not? I mean, is he still the guy who, 2013 or whatever, 14, when he was just one of the dominant receivers in the league? Is he that guy? No, but for a guy that can make a couple big plays here and there for a team that is borderline a championship contender, well, it could work. It could work. But you got to have the quarterback, and you have to have the strong structure around him because we know that going to a team like you mentioned, like going to a team like New Orleans, it's like having that strong structure. They don't necessarily have the quarterback, and that's just another issue waiting to happen. So, ready makes
Don't you think?
Oh, go.
Real quickly before we get to don't you think is that Patriots was more Tom Brady than Bill Belichick? So,
well, obviously, I think Brady being there is a positive, but Odell he's on record as being very, very. He holds Bill Belichick in a very high regard, and I think he's back on OBJ as one of those guys that Belichick also like, we saw that with Chad Johnson, Coach Cinco back in the day. Like he has an affinity with for certain players, and I think that feeling is mutual. And look, I mean, let's face it. At this point, if you're looking around the league and you look at the Patriots, are you really concerned with their quarterback situation now? Like, if you're a wide receiver, are you sitting there saying, "Ooh, I don't want to go there"? Like,
No. I think
yeah.
I think
So,
he's on his way to becoming
yeah,
a good quarterback. He's accurate,
yeah,
right? And I think he's going to do if you're open. Yeah. I mean, unless Odell becomes a snob and says, "I only want to play with Brady, Rogers, Mahomes, and pick some other guy."
and that's the beast in waiting right there. It's like, does I just want to go play with Tom Brady? Like, if
Yeah,
that's the case,
that would be kind of
you know what?
absurd.
It would
Yeah.
be because
Why not?
hey, why not have a 4 wide receiver set with
Absolutely.
Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Antonio Brown, and Odell Beckham?
Yeah, and then throw
What?
Gronk in there,
Yeah,
and
throw
then go
Gronk
empty
in there, and
backfield. That seems like an easy offense
yeah,
swap, right?
yeah, I would,
When
I would,
Odell Beckham is your fifth best weapon. Like,
yeah,
seriously?
that would be
That
kind
would
of
be
absurd.
kind of
That'd
scary.
be silly, but all right,
The league
so
may have to step in and say, "Not fair."
yeah, not today, not today.
Not now.
That's not going to happen. But no, anyways, let's get to our picks because we only have 10 minutes, so we're gonna have to get through these fairly quickly. But it's all right. We just want to get them on record so that we can go back and brag about what happened. So obviously, last night we saw apparently every quarterback not named Zach Wilson is the greatest quarterback of all time. Obviously,
Yeah.
Mike White went down and was out for the rest of the game with an injury, and Josh Johnson came in. The off travel Josh Johnson came in and put up some numbers for the Jets who and lost. They lost, and it's not surprising considering they're a team that coming into the game gave up 29 and a half points. So uh, Jets lose once again. It still scratches my head how they beat teams like the Titans, even though I don't think the Titans are the elite of the elite. It still seems impossible to do at this point. But anyways, uh, Colts won. They're back sort of in this mix with Tennessee. It'll be interesting to see how Tennessee responds without Derrick Henry moving forward. They got a pretty big matchup on Sunday Night Football, but that is the last game we're going to pick on. So we're going to start with Odell Beckham's team. Yes, that's right. His current team, the Cleveland Browns, heading to Cincinnati. Cincinnati, one of those two teams, very unfortunate to lose to the New York Jets. Again, kind of a head scratcher because I think we've both been pretty impressed with Cincinnati. I think they get back on track at home to this situation. I do think that they are, a little bit more together, as crazy as that sounds in Cleveland right now. And I think the Odell Beckham Jr. stuff is going to be a bit of a distraction this weekend. So give me the Bengals at home, and yeah,
I like the Browns. I picked them to win the Super Bowl. They're 4-4. They don't look like a playoff team, let alone a Super Bowl favorite. But I think they come up big this weekend. Their defense is still really good. They can run the football when healthy. And maybe getting Odell out of the building off the sideline will make Baker Mayfield be better than he's been. He's played better without Odell Beckham than with him, which can happen. So I'm going to go with Cleveland in this game in a mild upset.
next we have Denver heading to Dallas to take on the Cowboys. I mean, Denver obviously just traded Von Miller this week. This is a team that doesn't likely see themselves as Super Bowl contender. On the flip side, the Cowboys are one. I got Dallas winning this one fairly easily at home.
I think Dallas is going to win, but I think it's going to be a close game. Denver's defense is for real, even though, as you said, they traded Von Miller. I think Dallas has had these emotional wins, and is Dak playing? Is he not playing? They had a great win on the road last week against Minnesota, maybe a look-ahead game. So I'm going to go with Dallas to win, but I think Denver keeps it really close.
Next we have a game of bad versus batter. I know that's not a word, but I'm going to create it in this situation. Houston going to Miami in the it was once the thing, but never was the John Watson link up trade teams. Look, can I pick a tie? You know what? That's what I'm going to do. I'm gonna pick these two teams to tie because both of them have not won since week one, and I kind of want that to continue. Um, so Houston at Miami ends in a tie, and if I'm right, I'm never going to let people live there.
Pool with three other guys, and we each drafted 18. We had like a snake draft, and we just total up the amount of wins. I picked I ended up with Houston because I had the last pick in the draft. I also somehow picked the Dolphins somewhere in the middle of the draft, even though I thought the Jets would be better than them. So if it ends in a tie, that's going to cause a lot of problems in this league. Like, do I get a win because two of my teams tied? I think Miami's going to win. I think they're still better than the Texans, but not by much.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be one of those games. You're probably just going to check the highlights and tune in every so often. But New Orleans hosting Atlanta. Look, I mean, you got to be impressed with New Orleans defense. Losing Jameis Winston, we'll see how big of a loss that is ultimately down the stretch. Because again, he's playing good football, no doubt about it. But again, the production wasn't ungodly. Again, you can find that type of production elsewhere if need be, and we'll see what happens ultimately to this team. Moving forward, I do think they win this one, and I think Atlanta is playing some better football. Kyle Pitts is really starting to come along for them, um, but I think at home on the road or New Orleans at home, Atlanta on the road. I want to give the edge to New Orleans in this one, and I think they build a little momentum off that win over the Bucs.
I think they're going to come out flat after that win over the Bucs.
There we go.
And
We're disagreeing a lot this week. This was great. I like it.
these are some weird games, and also it's a divisional game. And Atlanta seems to play better every other week, and New Orleans plays down every other week. And it kind of fits now that Atlanta is due for an up week and New Orleans is due for down week. So I'll go with the Falcons in an upset.
Next, we have the Giants hosting the Raiders. The Raiders, who are 2-0 without John Gruden, playing some pretty good football. Now, again, I mean, you throw the other wrinkle now into the mix, coming off the bye week. The whole Henry Ruggs situation. See if they can keep their focus. Fortunately for them, they get the Giants and not an actual good NFL team. So, I am still going to pick the Raiders in this one. Although I don't think it's going to be their sharpest game, and I think it might, at the end of the day, look ugly, and maybe it was a little bit closer than what it should be. But I like the Raiders.
Vegas traveling east, that's never an easy thing. And then the Henry Ruggs situation that, you know, unfolded or transpires this week. I think that may have them in some other places. I'm going to pick the Giants in an upset. The Giants are a team that, it looks like absolute crap, and for the most part they are, but they occasionally come up with a decent effort. I think at home, even though they have a short week, they're going to fully upset the Raiders.
Next, we have the Patriots heading to Carolina to take on the Panthers and the Stephon Gilmore Bowl. No, look, the Patriots obviously coming off a really big win over the Chargers. I think they see a path to the playoffs here developing for them, and they played actually really well on the road this year. So New England against a pretty good Carolina defense, but a team that is lost on offense.
Yeah, doesn't this feel like an under, like a 17-10 type game? I mean, the Patriots offense is starting to get better every single week. We see that. I like the Patriots in this game as well. Obviously, the Patriots have a huge advantage at quarterback with Mac Jones, and P.J. Walker is going to be starting for Carolina because Sam Darnold's out with a concussion and some other injury, although Sam Darnold's no great shakes either. I like the Patriots to win this game. This will be their third straight win, which will get them heading in the right direction as we start up November.
Next, I have Buffalo winning at Jacksonville, and that's all I got.
Who made the Bills schedule? It's every
The Bills.
playing the
The Bills.
Yeah,
This is like a big time college like picking its opponents right now. It feels like. No, I mean,
Jacksonville, Houston, the Jets, Miami. I mean, it's like, when are they going to play somebody that's decent? And I mean, I know they beat the Chiefs, but the Chiefs don't look all that great now.
I was going to say the Chiefs are,
Yeah, I mean, they're obviously better than those teams, but who made their schedule?
Well,
God bless them. It seems like the Rams and the Bills play nobody every week.
Well, that's why I love the fact that the Patriots and Bills play late this season. I feel like it's set up perfectly for the Patriots to not only take the Bills by surprise, but again, I mean, if the Bills keep winning games, they're going to be feeling themselves. I mean, it's the Bills, and then all of a sudden you play a really good team, maybe you get smacked in the mouth. So we'll see.
Yep. That happens in the NFL. I mean, it's 17 games this year, an extra game. It's going to be more upsets just by sheer numbers.
Sure. Absolutely. So, anyways, Baltimore hosting Minnesota. I like Baltimore in this one to kind of wrap up the 1 o'clock games. Again, I think two teams that are pretty good. So I think it should be a pretty good matchup overall.
Yeah, I'll take Baltimore at home. I think they're coming off a bye week, so that always comes in handy. And Harbaugh's good off a bye week. I think Baltimore will be able to take care of Minnesota this week, who lost a really tough game Sunday night against the Cowboys, and they're staring at falling out of playoff contention themselves.
And Justin Herbert and the shaky Los Angeles Chargers at the moment, head to Philadelphia to take on the Eagles. And I'd like to say that the Chargers are going to get out of their little funk in this game, but something tells me that the Eagles are somehow going to pull this out at home, and maybe we'll see a Philly special, John, and they'll walk away with the victory. But yeah, I think I'm picking the Eagles on this one at home.
I'm going to go. I've been god awful the last two games.
Yeah.
My man does not look like the heir apparent. I called him football's Jason Tatum, got all the talent in the world, but looks like he doesn't really get too fired up for these games. But I think he'll step up big. And Philadelphia is another one of those. Look, the NFL's made up of teams that 1 week good, 1 week bad, right? I mean, other than the top tier teams that generally show up with an honest effort, and Philadelphia is one of those teams that they go out and they destroy Detroit. And Detroit's been a team that have been competitive in some games, and then they come back the next week, and we'll see what they do against the Chargers. I think the Chargers will get it right. From what I'm understanding is that the defenses have figured Herbert out for now. Now the key is how can he adjust to that? Because this is all football is, right? I mean, at some point people think they figured out Tom Brady until he figured them back out. So yeah, we'll see what happens here. I'll go with the Chargers. I think they're a better team. Although West Coast, East Coast, never easy, but I believe it's a 4 o'clock game. So not that maybe I'm thinking too much about it, but it's 1 o'clock West Coast time, 4 o'clock here. The game's in Philly. I'll go with the Chargers. I think maybe I'm over analyzing things. Just go with that.
Well, speaking of a game that we overanalyzed quite a bit so far this week, Green Bay Sans 86. Aaron Rodgers was keeping the restaurant business lingo. No longer with the team this week, so obviously Jordan Love will get the start heading to Kansas City. And John, I've been back and forth all week on this. I guarantee you, had Aaron Rodgers been in there, I was picking them 100%. 100%. Guess what? I'm still picking them to win this game. Yes, John. Jordan Love and the Green Bay Packers are going to upset the Kansas City Chiefs at Arrowhead because, quite frankly, and we said this after their win over the Giants, I've seen nothing from this Kansas City Chiefs team to make me think that they're capable of winning against a good team. I just haven't seen it. They're too predicated on this gimmick-like offense. Their defense is terrible, and they really have no redeeming qualities at the moment. So, to me, I look at this and say, well, Jordan Love I think is capable enough to put against a good performance on offense. Again, going up against the Kansas City defense that's ranked, somehow 40th in the league, even though there's only 32 teams. They're that bad, and then you go up against a defense in Green Bay that's a pretty good unit. I mean, they're pretty good at create turnovers, and that's the big thing because you don't necessarily have to create turnovers when you play the Chiefs. They're going to create them for themselves, but again, the numbers, John, the numbers that's what I'm thinking about right now. The numbers just don't add up for a Kansas City even without going up against Aaron Rodgers. So give me the Packers. Does that make you nervous, or do you not really care?
I'm actually now. No, I actually like the Packers in this game, surprisingly. And I think the reason I do is their defense is pretty damn good. They create turnovers. I think they'll be able to run the football on Kansas City. Green Bay's offense without Rodgers is going to be more run-centric, and they'll try to keep Jordan Love out of harm's way. I just want to say this. Now,
it was pretty run-centric last week, too, with Rodgers. So
that's what you do when you don't have your receivers. Game manage it. And I think Rodgers has bought into that running the football is important, and it really sets up that play action. Which
Kansas City is.
Kansas
City is a unconventional running team. If you think about it,
right? A lot of short passes.
Well, yeah. Think about what their offense is. Yeah, I mean, again, people are always going to point to the big Mahomes throws, but they're not that frequent and they're not as important to the outcome of the game. You know what I mean? Like this team is predicated on getting the ball to Tyreek Hill and their fast, speedy players in open field. That's their
Yeah,
offense. And we saw it. I mean, I brought it up the other day. Mahomes' passing chart from this last week. I mean, what was it? 12, 13 passes completed at or behind the line of scrimmage. That's a
yep,
running play. You know, that's a running play. So I was thinking about it the other day. I was like, no, no, yeah, Kansas City isn't a passing offense; they're a running team. They just do it a little bit different. So anyway,
yeah.
and
In Green Bay, things under control. Obviously, it's easier with Rodgers than with Jordan Love. Like Matt LaFleur, I think is right now coach of the year. When you consider that they're 7-1, they've had a ton of injuries on defense. He spent the offseason trying to figure out how bought in his quarterback was, and now he's dealing with this stuff this week. If he goes out there and beats Kansas City, that's another feather in his cap. And I don't think LaFleur is a great coach, but I think he's done a great job managing the roster and getting everybody to buy in and into play, especially coming off that first game against New Orleans. It would have been very easy for things to start going sideways, and then they, peel off 7 straight wins. I think he's done a fabulous job. I have issues with him inside the red zone. That could be as much to do with Aaron Rodgers. They haven't been really efficient in the red zone this year, but I think LaFleur's done a great job. I mean, all week now he's answering questions about if Aaron Rodgers wore a mask in meetings. Like a coach doesn't really want to deal with that. Like there's enough going on without having to essentially, try to make excuses for your big baby quarterback. It's been a tough haul for him, and I give the guy a lot of credit. I think they can win, and I think they will win.
John Sapichetti, noted Aaron Rodgers hater, just so everyone out
You know what?
there.
Just to say a quick story. We did pick and roll podcast, pick and roll NBA podcast, which you can hear obviously on full press coverage. And my co-host Jeff Schreier says, "Are you ready to get off Rodgers today?" I said, "I can't. I can't right now. I'm too deep into this. I feel like I'm too committed. Yeah, I feel like named Jake Gyllenhaal in Brokeback
Yeah.
Mountain. I can't pick you. I can't. I just can't. I'm too far into this. It's too late now. So I'm all in still.
It's all right. Hey, that's admirable. It's admirable.
Thank you.
All right, last two games, and we really got to say goodbye. Arizona at San Francisco, a pretty fascinating uh, matchup in the NFC West. These games are always fun to watch, especially if they're on national television and on prime time or whatever. This is not, however. I still think it's going to be a pretty good game. And guess what? I'm actually going to pick San Francisco with an upset. I think they're going to surprise some folks and beat Arizona, who coming off their first loss of the season. They're kind of at a crossroads, so to speak. Like, which direction are you going to go? Are you going to be the Cardinals from a few years ago who had, what they start 5-0 or something like that, but then like in this season like 6-10 or something. So yeah, so that's still in their memory, and that's a little bit to overcome. I think they're better than that, but at the same time, I do think they're unfortunately running into a divisional opponent, which throw whatever conventional wisdom about these games out the window when you say it's their NFC West matchup. So give me San Francisco.
San Francisco too. I was actually impressed with Jimmy Garoppolo last Sunday against Chicago. I thought he played pretty well, and when he is good, very good, that team's tough to beat. Look at the records with him as the starting quarterback. The defense seems to be coming together. They've got plenty of offensive weapons. I think San Francisco wins this game and kind of gets back into playoff contention. Doubtful they can win the division because the Rams only have one loss, and of course Arizona only has one loss, but they can certainly be right in the wild card.
Last but not least, the Los Angeles Rams taking on or hosting the Tennessee Titans on Sunday Night Football. I like the Rams in this one. I think Tennessee is going to take a bit of a step back without Derrick Henry. I think they were fortunate to get a running back to replace him that has a similar play style, so there's not going to be much change about the offense. Obviously, I just don't think Adrian Peterson is Derrick Henry. I mean, Adrian Peterson 10 years ago, absolutely. Right now, I don't think this Titans team is doing very good without Henry. They don't have the same defense that they had a couple years ago. And Ryan Tannehill, I think he's a really good quarterback. I just don't know if he's the guy that can really, put the team on his shoulders and elevate. And that's what he's going to have to do. So in this game, give me the Rams fairly easily. And as our good buddy Joel says, the Rams are going to destroy the Titans as well. Yeah, I maybe destroy is a bit of a strong word, but I do think the Los Angeles Rams are going to win fairly comfortably.
Yeah, I think they'll win. And again, just looked like a marquee game, right? Derrick Henry and the
Mhm.
Tennessee Titans, the Rams, and now he's out. And again, the Rams, sometimes to win a title, you need some breaks to happen.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
if
sure.
break, then okay, we're going up against the Titans, and oh, by the way, Derrick Henry breaks the week before. I mean, and if you're the Kansas City Chiefs, even although they're having their issues, you don't have to face Aaron Rodgers this week. So, these things do have a tendency of evening out, but the Rams seem to be very fortuitous this year, and I think they'll take advantage of it this week. And again, I'll go with the better quarterback in Matt Stafford over Tannehill in this matchup.
And that is all. But before we go, though, it is official, John. The Cleveland Browns have released Odell Beckham Jr. So he will hit the waiver wire, and I believe Monday is the day um, that can happen. That
Right.
the process of everything. So obviously he won't be playing for a team this weekend. However, early next week should be some resolution to this as to who will end up being Odell Beckham Jr.'s next team. And based on what I've seen so far, I don't know if they ended up restructuring the deal. In Rappaport, all he says is the two sides came together on a resolution to end his Cleveland tenure. So I don't know if that means just agreeing to part ways or agreeing to the restructured contract that makes it a little bit easier for teams to potentially claim him as opposed to waiting for him to clear the waiver wire. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. Unfortunately, we are done for the day, though, so we will say our goodbyes and we will sit here and say tune in Sunday. That's right, Sunday morning, as myself and our NFL Sunday crew get together to preview this week as well and probably talk more about this Odell Beckham Jr. situation. Then, of course, join John and myself Monday live at 9 a.m. to recap the weekend because Monday, which means we're right back in the saddle again and doing another full week of FTP Radio Live. So have a great day, folks. Have a great weekend, and we will